And we are live. Welcome everybody to Wednesday night fish talk. How's everybody doing? I see we got people already in the chat. Well, first, let me introduce you to our guest. We got the one, the only, the lucky schmuck, Ryan tonight. How you doing?
Good, Carlos. Thanks for having me on, man. How are you?
Man, thanks for coming on and everything. I'm doing very well. I've been trying to get a lot of the people that I used to talk to before back, in communication since I've been hitting this harder. And you definitely was there on the list. I'm like, I gotta hit up Ryan. I gotta get him up here and see how he's been doing because we're down here in Florida and it's that time of year where tubbing is gonna start.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get into a lot of that tonight with you because you have done a lot of it. And I have done some myself. But who we got in here tonight? I Hate Stupid People. Thank you for joining. Tank Top Tropics. Thank you for coming out. We got PB Aquatics. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for dropping the link. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Ryan's channel, Wild Fish Tanks, check him out. He does have a lot of great information.
Thank you.
And some great videos catching some live bears out there in the wild. Fish box, animal rescue. So, for the people that don't know you, Ryan, where you from and how long you been in the hobby?
I'm originally from New York. I grew up on Long Island, and then I moved to Central Florida after I graduated college in 2008, 2009, and I've been down here ever since. I was in the hobby a little bit as a kid, kind of a similar story. I know a lot of people growing up in like the 80s, 90s kept, a mixed community tank, didn't really know. Things happened. Like I had a 20-gallon tank with like a bala shark type deal, some tiger barbs, and, had not too much success. Didn't really know what I was doing as a kid, but got out of the hobby for many years and got back into it at the end of 2016, actually. Got my first 55-gallon tank as an adult, and then kind of just took off running from there.
Now, how long you been running your channel now for?
I started the channel a little over 3 years ago. So I want to say it was like February of 2018.
Yep. I remember first starting to watch you from the beginning. And it was not even Wild Fish Tank. It was Lucky Schmuck.
Yep.
And the name just caught me. It caught me and my wife. I was like, look, it's creative. It's different, What made you change the name? Where did that come from?
So I started with the name Lucky Schmuck because my whole spin on like my channel, and I still do it to some degree, but my whole my uniqueness was essentially I was building a fish room and just kind of getting to the hobby, but doing it through like Craigslist, offer up, and trying to find the best deal and sharing my tips and tricks on like how to get lucky and definitely getting lucky, but then also using that to set myself up for the best chance to get lucky, so to speak. So I did a lot of that, and I still have some more of that coming up. I've been able to do a little less of that recently, and a quick tangent before I get into the name change. In the last year or so, I haven't been able to find as many good deals in terms of like on Craigslist, on OfferUp, on the used tank market, so to speak. But I think that's a good thing in terms of the hobby as a whole, because I think that means that the people that used to be going through the garage, taking this old dusty tank and then saying, let's get rid of it. Now, with everything going on, they're like, let's set it up. We're at home anyway. Let's get back into the hobby. Let's jump into the fish keeping hobby. And I think that's why we've seen a lot more people, a lot more views, a lot more YouTubers, a lot more people in the hobby, which has been awesome. I was sorry because I went on a tangent there.
I was agreeing with you because I've been seeing that since the pandemic. A lot more channels have been coming out. Even though the stores kind of shut down and went through their stuff, the stores are still making sales. Online sales are still going. The demand, and I get to see from the back end of the industry because I'm involved with it. And it's like, yes, the hobby's growing. There's a lot of people into it. Now, will they stay when everything opens back up? We'll see. We might find some deals after that.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't quite think about that yet, but I mean, just like everything, it's cyclical. And I think this hobby tends to be cyclical anyway. Like, forget about everything recently. Just as a whole, you meet a lot of people that get in and out of this hobby. You know, you get in really hardcore for a couple of years, you get out, you get back in. I think that's pretty common. So I agree. We may see some a mass exodus here in the next year or two. Hopefully not. And hopefully when the dust does settle, it'll still be more than when we started with, you know?
Yeah, that's true. So keep going. How you got to the name change?
Yeah, so the name it was definitely because, in a large part, because of like the name schmuck, or the word schmuck can have a negative connotation. It can also be not the easiest thing to spell. So it was actually Corey from Aquarium Co-op was in town. We were talking like the business side of things, and you know, website and just names and that kind of thing. And he threw out wild aquariums, I think it was. So then I took that, and then I was like, I think wild fish tanks flows better, and it's, you know, you can spell it easier.
I can't hear you now. Oh, we just lost them. But yeah, I hate stupid people. With everyone being stuck at home, a lot of work issues. I think so many people getting out of boredom and depression. Yep, people are coping with that and everything. So yeah, I do agree with that. It's been a growth. It's been a good growth, and like he was saying, after the dust settle, let's see how many people will still stay in the hobby and everything. Because I've been kind of seeing that too with the YouTube channel. Some people came into this, and now there's already channels kind of like falling off, I'll kind of say, or they're taking a break. You really don't know what's going on because they're not creating no new content right now. So yes, a lot of channels too have opened up, but you're starting to see less people on there. Mine was not hard. I want my brother to get rid of the Oscars he had, so I took them in. How big were those Oscars? Two, while we wait for Ryan and everything, too, I want to announce to you guys, we did hit 300 followers on our Facebook group, FishTubers United. So everybody that's part of FishTubers United on Facebook, thank you for being part of that, and that's been growing. It's only been running for a few months, so I appreciate that. And I think we got Ryan back in.
Can you hear me now?
But yes, I hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. I was trying out this new mic, and I think this mic is not going to work. So hopefully you can still hear me, and you don't hear the banging in the background. I was telling Carlos earlier, I'm getting some roof work done today, and I thought by 8 o'clock they'd be done, but they're still up there working hard. So hopefully you guys don't hear the bunch of banging in the background.
So yeah, you was telling us you met up with Corey, and you guys were throwing the name, and that's pretty much
So at the end of the day, going from Lucky Schmuck's Fish Cave to Wild Fish Tanks, it was just more of like it was a branding thing. It was more of like kind of behind the scenes. So, you know, it would be more easier to say. You know, there wasn't really many people getting offended by it. Really, I didn't really get any flack for that. But just the word schmuck it's hard to spell, and Wild Fish Tanks is just smoother. So I just made the switch. And I wanted to be doing more collecting and getting out in the wild more. So it was like a two-fold.
Oh, yeah. Because we did see your channel take a turn towards that. You started doing a lot of collecting. Now, for the people, what's been the most, what's been what fish you've been enjoying the most collecting out there?
Oh, I would have to say the Pygmy Sunfish. A lot of you guys may know about the Pygmy Sunfish, Elisoma. There's a few different species. I think in the last couple years, it's got like a notoriety across FishTube. I know like Randy from Aquarium Co-op and Bob Steenfont, they bought some having a race to try to breed them. That's a fish that I found out about a couple years ago, and I dipped net around the area and never found them. And my buddy Jose, who actually I thank a lot for inspiring me for getting into like wild fish collecting in general. He had collected one about a year ago. He collected one. It was the first time I saw one in real life, and ever since then, I had never seen. I'd still never seen any, or I never caught one myself. And it wasn't until about like 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I went out collecting with Species.Spotlight on Instagram. His name is Zane, and he found me a spot. And literally, I mean, they're not like everywhere, but it's a spot where I can go collect them. So now I actually had some in the fish cave, a group of Elisoma okefenokee and the Elisoma evergladii, 2 different species of Pygmy Sunfish. I have groups of both of those now in the fish cave that I'm going to be working with, hopefully get them breeding.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's one fish that was kind of like, it was cool because it took like 2 years before I heard about it. Then I kind of saw it once, and then I actually had a chance to collect it. And now hopefully I'll be able to, breed it myself.
Oh yeah, because it's not that much in the hobby of them either. So a lot of people are gonna love that.
Yeah. So I'm excited to work with it, and hopefully I can crack the code.
Total Tropical, thank you for joining us from down under. How you doing? That'll be a place I would love to go collecting in Australia. I think that'll be amazing to go out there and go collect them.
That's one thing I want to get more into. I had a chance to keep some rainbow fish, both some of the bigger ones like the Australians and Bosmani, and I've also had a chance to. I kept the Celebesi's rainbow fish, but I'd love to go collecting. I think I'd be more intrigued by some of those smaller rainbow fish over there in Australia, as well as the bigger ones. But yeah, there's endless amount of cool stuff. But I'd be scared about some of those crazy snakes and stuff they got over there too.
Hey, we got them here too.
That is true.
Now, what live bears you been catching out there?
What
has surprised you? What live bear have you been surprised to catch out there?
So here in Central Florida, like up in the Orlando area, we don't come across too many invasives. So far, I mean, you got common plecos, but in terms of like other aquarium fish, there's one spot where I've caught convict cichlids and some like platies. And those were definitely like released, like someone had caught them and released them probably years back. But besides that, I don't know if I've ever caught any other live bear except for the native, the least killifish. It's called least killifish. It's actually a live bear. Other than that, I'm trying to think of other live bears that I've collected. But mostly it's been like Florida flagfish and bluefin killifish, but not too many live bears.
Do you guys got the mollies up there? The big sailfin mollies?
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. The sailfin mollies in the I'm not even thinking about the sailfin mollies in the Gambusia as well, are also live. Yeah. So yes. I actually haven't had a ton of success. I haven't really tried with the Gambusia. I'm just jaded, but I'm not really interested in messing around with the Gambusia. So I haven't really tried to breed them or keep them. The sailfin mollies I actually have some smaller ones growing out because I collected like a larger female. But actually, in the past, I tried to collect like a nice male, but I've lost them both times, so I just stopped and then decided to go with trying to raise some smaller ones. I don't know. Have you ever tried to breed them or collect the males and had success, or what?
I have only bred wild mollies, wild sailfin mollies and everything. I want to start getting more into collecting. I actually do want to start collecting some wild types of live bears. That's my next thing I want to start getting into. Haven't really played with them like that and everything. And the ones I ended up breeding, I didn't even go catch myself. A buddy of mine gave them to me, the hecock. And because he ended up catching 2 different types. He ended up catching just some straight silver mollies, and then he caught a group at another spot, the silver mollies, but then they had some really dark spots on them. They were like a spotted silver molly, but it was only this one area where he caught them at. And we bred those.
That's pretty cool when you find stuff that's just like maybe that like pond or that area kind of got like sectioned off, and that little community kind of took on a different trait. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, he I would like to, I want to go catch some of the invasive stuff to kind of show that too. That's another thing I want to do because I found some spots where they got a big old pond. It's a secluded pond, but there's a whole bunch of cichlids in there, and they're all crossbreeding, all different types of Central and South American cichlids in there, just crossbreeding. So they got some nice stuff.
That's one thing that you guys have a little further down south that we don't have really up here in Orlando is all that. I guess it's like a pro and a con. Like I guess I'm happy that Orlando doesn't have as many invasives like the crazy Mayan cichlids and the clown knifes are down there, in South Florida. So I guess we're lucky that Orlando doesn't have that, those invasives. But also, like you said, they're there. You can find them, collect them. I think the rule is if you catch an invasive, you're supposed to either bring it home or dispose of it, euthanize it. You're not supposed to release it back into the wild.
Yeah, it depends what it is, because certain ones you can't take home. Snakeheads, you got to kill them on the spot. Yeah. You can't even take them home. I will always love to have one, but you can't have them.
Yeah, I think what's the closest thing? We have bowfin, right? They're not a snakehead, but they're kind of like, aren't they? They're sheep similar, right? They may be totally. I don't know what I'm talking about. They're probably totally different fish. Yeah, but I didn't know that. I'm not even that well versed in the larger natives we have. Like when I went out collecting with Zane, we did some actual fishing too, micro fishing. But he caught we did some I guess they call it lightweight ultra fishing too. So not the micro, but we caught some panfish and some bass. But we saw some guys in the bridge down the way catch an alligator gar. And there's a bunch of crazy cool stuff we have down here.
Oh yeah, them alligator gars, man, they're mean. I don't want one on the line.
Yeah, I mean you could probably use like a metal leader or something so it doesn't cut through your line.
Oh yeah. Now, yeah, because you guys, the thing is, people think Florida is all super hot year round. They don't understand. Central Florida, you guys get colder weather than we do. It drops for you guys a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I want to get into talking about that in the outdoors, outdoor tubbing. I know you have a video of your shrimp. Man, they came out really nice. How long you had them out there for?
Thank you, man. I had those out there. Like I set those tubs up originally in 2018. So the summer of 2018, I had set those blue tubs up there. So those tubs had kind of well seasoned, and I had mixed results over the years, and I never really fully broke them down. But I don't know what it was, but that one tub of the 3 tubs, the guppies kind of did okay in it, but the red shrimp just for whatever reason. And that's the thing is, I contribute a lot of my success in fish keeping, whether it's in summer tubs, whether it's with anything really, breeding, with kind of like the shotgun approach. I still fail at a lot of stuff, but since I set up 4 tubs, one hit. If I only set up 1 tub, maybe I went 4 years of duds. So yeah, I don't know what it was specifically in that tub, but I was very happy.
Oh yeah, you got plans on doing tubbing again this year?
Yeah, so right now I got 2 of those Rubbermaid stock tanks set up. One has the Medaka rice fish and some of those same red cherry shrimp. What I did was that video of me collecting and breaking down was actually filmed last fall when I was breaking them down. And I put some of those red shrimp into that stock tank, and they overwintered there just fine with the rice fish. But I got plans for the other. I got a 100-gallon tub out there, and then for the first time ever, I'm going to use some of those 55-gallon barrels and kind of cut off the top. I don't know. Have you ever used those before to keep fish?
I haven't personally. I've seen the way they do them. I've seen people use them 2 different ways. I've seen them cut them in half. You got 2 round circles, and I've seen people cut them the long way. And they used to raise angels like that. And they used to have they turned into a rack.
Yeah, like a trough. Okay, now you got me thinking, man. Okay. I was just thinking there's a gentleman named Mason, Mason's Aquatics. I think he has a YouTube channel. He's on Instagram and Facebook, but Mason's Aquatics. His fish room is he has like a patio. He's here in Florida. And he has a lot of those 55-gallon tall, skinny barrels. And all he did was cut the top off, the very top. That's it. But now when you mention it, I've seen people take the IBC totes and cut them in half. You could do that with a 55-gallon barrel, or like you said, cut it like a trough, like the long ways. So those are all ideas I didn't even think of. So now I gotta have to reevaluate maybe and switch up the plans. But
was another inexpensive way of doing it with containers that probably won't cost you much. I don't know how it is in your area, but you ever seen people throw away them big aerator tanks? Anybody, like somebody doesn't well, they have those brown aerator tanks on the side of the house. You know, they hold your water and everything. People are upgrading to a new system that you don't have that round container no more, and they throw those away.
Is it like a water softener container you're talking about, or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
I used 2 of them a while back. I did some and everything. I did some videos on them and everything. And this year, I found 3 more. Doesn't cost you nothing. I'm gonna cut them all, and I'm actually gonna use them. So I'm gonna have 5. Do a video about doing 5 containers. They don't cost you nothing. You just look, and you'll find them. People get rid of them.
That's what's up. I also thought, and this is a tip I haven't shared anywhere, and I actually haven't even put it to use yet, but I thought about it, I don't know, like a month ago. I was driving home, coming home, and it was on my trash collection night. Driving home, and in front of me in my neighborhood was one of the people out there. I'm sure everyone, unless you live in a really rural area, you got people that go around on trash night and they pick through and they grab the stuff they know they can flip or they can sell or whatever the heck, right?
Oh yeah, the metal collector
fish tanks. So my idea was get in contact with one of those guys and go, hey man, you ever come across fish stuff? I'm your guy. Here's some money, whatever. Hit me up. I'll pay you for it. Let's work it out. But if they're going to be out there anyway patrolling. Or you can take it one step further and do it yourself. I mean, I don't know. It depends on individuals out there. But you could take it one step further, and you could figure out what day your trash is. Figure out what town the next town over does their trash, and go out the next door do some patrolling, depending on how dirty you want to get. Oh, curb shopping, yeah, exactly.
He said aerator tanks, or do you mean reclaiming water? Not the reclaiming one. They're the aerator tanks. They're the ones you put on the side of the house, and it has the pump to pump water into your house. When you have the well system, and people don't have those no more, because there's a new system out there, man. It's funny because me and you be doing a lot of stuff that's the same, because 98% of my tanks in my fish room I found on the side of the road, and I'm at almost 70 tanks.
I believe it
right now. Right. And it's amazing what people throw out there.
Yeah, man, you'd be surprised. You just got to keep your eyes out and kind of know what you're looking for. You can come across a lot of stuff. I mean, that's one thing that now I get a little pickier with the fish and the supplies. Like back in the day when I was first starting out, it could be a 10-gallon leaky tank, and I was driving 20 minutes to pick up a 10-gallon leaky tank if it was free. Now I'm like, I don't care about a leaky 10-gallon tank. Like I'm not going to drive even 5 minutes for. So there's certain things that it kind of. I got to find new things to kind of keep that aspect of it fresh, because as I've grown and now I got certain things, I become more picky. Okay, I don't want just any fish anymore. I want this specific thing. I want to be, I only have this much tank space. So you just got to find newer things to keep it fresh. But there's so many things in this hobby to keep it fresh. That's not a problem.
Yeah. You didn't give me 37. You gave me 5, and Ricky gave me like 30, okay? And those still ain't being used right now. So, yeah, I still got to add all those other new tanks I just got. Yeah, and in 2 days, I got 37 tanks. Plus, I found like another 6 on the side of the road.
That's what's up. I haven't come up on something like that in a long time, if ever. I found. I haven't seen a free tank by me. I take that back. Yesterday, there was a free. There wasn't a lot of good pictures. It was a free 150-gallon, like a 5 foot, maybe it was a 5 foot 120 or something. But it was a big tank for free, and it was like maybe last night or the night before. And I messaged the person at like 11 o'clock at night, and by the next morning they had already deleted the post, so it was already gone. They're out there. You got to be. People don't realize like. Anything that's really good is gone so quick. It's gone so quick.
He said, if I can get outdoor tubbing thing figured out, I want the IBC totes. Those IBC totes work great, and I actually seen 2 ways of using the IBC totes, cutting them in half or just cutting the top off. Because when you cut the top off, then you got a lot of gallons to play with there too.
Yeah, those are like 275 gallons, right?
Yeah. Oh
yeah. I have them before the whole fish cave and all the aquarium fish. I actually, like in 2015, so 1 year before I really got into like the aquarium fish, I had a couple IBC toads set up in my garage, and I was breeding tilapia with a buddy of mine. I know people use them a lot in like aquaculturing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to start showing how to do them with the homemade baskets that I make and everything, where you just keep most of your fish in the basket for live bears mainly, and they just drop the babies, and they don't mess with them and everything. That's mainly what I want to do this year. Is a lot of live bears outside. I'm gonna load up on live bears this year probably.
That's smart, man. That's what I was talking to my buddy the other day about doing that, especially with my albino strains. Like, I do a lot of community breeding of the live bears. I know a lot of the more dedicated guys will do the line breeding and set up like 10 tanks or more for one strain. And to be honest, that is like an amazing way to do it. It takes a lot of dedication. But I've noticed that when you do community breeding, having that container and allowing the fry to kind of swim out, it usually helps a lot. I've heard it a lot, but from my personal experience, the albino strains tend to eat their babies and try to eat more. And I recently visited Iowa Aquatics. He had the exact same strain of guppies as me, and he had them set up like you were talking about with like the adults in the tub or the adults in the floating basket, and he had so many fry, whereas I think mine could eat them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an old method that the farmers use to this day still, and why not translate it into what we do, into a smaller, into smaller containers. Yeah. You got a question when your tiger antlers be ready?
Yeah, I got a bunch going out. Probably a couple more weeks before I can really start sexing them and I get some more males. I have plenty. It's just a matter of waiting a couple more weeks before I can start sexing them again. But I want to talk about check out, if you guys are not familiar with Jadron Aquatics, he did a video a couple days ago. He did a video with a guppy breeder. I think he's local to him in Texas. And that gentleman seemed to really know his stuff. He was talking about albino guppy fry. I never heard this before. He had talked about how the depth of the water for live bears is critical, whereas for newborn fry, especially albino fry that tend to be weak, will need to kind of get a breath to the top of the water. So if you're breeding them like I do in a 55 gallon sometimes, it may not be the best. So having it in a shallow tank, and I never even crossed my mind for a guppy fry to have a shallow area, but it seemed to work for him, and the guy seemed like he knew his stuff for sure.
Oh yeah, and there's some tricks. There's a lot of tricks out there on how to breed them and get a lot of your fries to survive, because we do them in tanks, but when you translate to doing a lot of numbers of them outside, you really got to know how to set up the containers for them and everything.
Yeah, people think like obviously live bears, like, you're breeding guppies, which is true. They are guppies. It's not that hard to breed them usually. Although it's not always that easy. But yeah, there's a difference between like breeding them and then, like you said, making them on scale consistently. And when people hear about like when you're a farm or you're selling to wholesalers, like you need thousands of fish. You can't mess around. I had a buddy that got into it. He started breeding rice fish, and he bred a lot of Daisy's rice fish, a couple hundred. And he went to the farm, and they laughed at him. Like, dude, you need like 5,000 of these things. Like, we don't care about 250. Like, we need like thousands. Sometimes it's like a different ball game to breed on like a large scale. Dan Connor would know that.
Large scale is a whole nother playing field. We got Funk Dan Connor's in the house. How y'all doing? Thank you for joining us. Now, have you gone into Swordtails yet?
Yes and no. So one of the fish that I collected that was a native was a swordtail a couple years ago. I unfortunately lost all those. They bred. I sold some of them, but I originally lost the adult I collected. Like there's one big male that I collected. I ended up losing him. Who knows how old he was when I collected him. And then recently at the Pascal Club, Aquarium Club, I bought the Alpha Resi Swordtail, like not the native one, but it's like a wild strain type. So right now, the only ones I have are those. But I'd like to get into some other ones. What about you? You working with? I saw the other video you had with the Santa Claus. The Santa Claus one.
We got. Oh man, Swordtails is our second most fish. I got Santa Claus right now. I got Jet Blacks. I got the Berlin Blacks. I got Alpha Red Swords, Red Wags, the regular Red Velvets, and the Wild Greens.
Okay, wow. Okay, you got like double-digit strains almost.
Oh yeah, Swordtails is something that is a big passion to me, man. That's our second favorite fish is angelfish and Swordtails.
Okay. Yeah, no, they're cool. And you got to take, and they take a little bit longer than guppies to grow out too, right? You know, especially for the males.
Yeah.
So it's a little more dedication.
And you get a lot of sneaker males in your groups, because you got to sell off those bigger males or get them out the tank because you get other ones you can still tell they're males and everything, what you're looking, but other than that, they won't grow that sword because they're hiding with the females because the bigger dominant ones are controlling the tank until you move them out, then they'll start dropping their sword. And it's crazy because it happens within like 2 or 3 days. All of a sudden, it's like they got a sword.
They realize, like, okay, time to go. Like, no one else is home. Okay, I've never experienced that, but I've heard about that.
Mm-hmm. Funk said I tried bringing guppies, but I think they were all batting for the other team.
We get prettier females, dude.
Oh yeah. We got into the Molly's. Platies. You ever got into them?
I haven't got into the platies. Mostly with the live bears, it's been guppies, and then some more like the wild type stuff. Like I've been more. I think that's a lot of the influence from my buddy Jose with Untitled Aquatics. Having an opportunity to spend time with him and watching him kind of like geek out and really get so passionate about it. I think a lot of that passion rubbed off on me with some of the wild types. So I'm sure maybe one day, because I do have those, I do love live bears. There's some cool platies out there.
Oh yeah.
Maybe one day.
What else you got right now? What else you keeping?
I've been doing a lot of Lake Tanganyika stuff. So I have like La Lupi. I have some of the daffodils. I just recently picked up. I have some gold shell dwellers that I picked up a while back from Tom at Aquatics. I got those, and I picked up more gold. Not more gold, but I got some multis, and I got some other shell dwellers the other day from Andres over at Bio Aquatics, and I picked up some Helianthus, which is called like the sunflower cichlid. It's kind of like a Bouchard eye shape. Got a little more patterning on it. So I see myself getting a lot more into the lake tanks in addition to the live bears and the native fish. Kind of a unique mix. It's kind of like guppies and wild type live bears is 1/3, native fish is 1/3, and like Lake Tanganyika cichlids is like 1/3.
You're gonna be seeing more Lake Tanganyikans, huh?
Yeah, I think that's kind of like where my passion is right now. For the longest time, if you've been following for a while, you know that like I had a 125 tank in the cave for a while, like a red devil, and he was a cool fish, and I had him just because like I rescued him with the tank with another tank, but he was a rescue fish. But my long-term goal for that tank was always Frontosa, and I haven't really talked about it on the publicly on the channel recently. But for the longest time, I was mentioning Frontosa, and in the back of my mind, I've always been a goal of mine. So actually, I only have 2 tanks in my house, but I have a 55-gallon tank in my house that I actually recently sold a lot of the rainbow fish out of. I'm going to break that down. I'm going to try to find like a 120 or a 125, and I want to put Frontosa. So that's something that in the next year, that's a goal, a display tank of Frontosa in the house.
Oh, that'd be cool. Hey, what type of Frontosa?
I really want to do those blue MOBA, the blue Zaire, the ones with like that lighter kind of like that. I know there's like a bunch of types, but there's one that's got, I think it's called a blue Zaire or a MOBA, that extra blue in it. So Dan Connor, looking at this, you see those blue Zaire, hit me up.
Have you seen any of the wild platies down here collecting?
No, the only wild live bears like just the mollies, and then the invasive stuff is just that strain of like they're kind of like a pineapple swordtail type deal. But I don't ever see wild platies.
No, I haven't even heard nobody talk about wild platies either. I don't even know if we still have them or if we even had them.
I'm not sure.
Now, it kind of seemed like just being around the other guys, you got into the whole cichlids from Lake Tanganyika. Have you ever gotten into any New World cichlids? Anything interest you?
Not really. I mean, I'll never rule anything out, but I mean, I've had an opportunity like Andres at Bioaquatics. His favorite fish, like he loves Central American cichlids, just like oh my gosh, Max over at Max Cichlids, Maxim. He's like so passionate about Central American cichlids, and I think they're cool, but like I'm definitely not on that level. Like I can appreciate them, but at this point, I don't have that drive to any of those. I mean, maybe some dwarf cichlids like a pistogramma type deal, but in terms of some of those bigger Central and South American cichlids, I think they're cool, but I don't have any plans to keep them anytime soon.
Yeah, I think the biggest I go is angelfish. Other than I got a hybrid jaguar over here, jaguar hybrid. That I'm working on, and he's getting huge, bro. He's getting big.
I know those jaguars can get big, man. Mm-hmm. What is he hybrid with?
Jack Dempsey.
Okay. Yes. But I always forget that angelfish are South American cichlids. That is something that if I'm going to jump, I'm just not a huge South American cichlid, but that is something I could see myself doing one day. And maybe not with. Actually, last year I traded a guy. I traded some Plecos for some young double black veil tails and some platinums, some pearl scale platinums, really nice angelfish. And I was growing them out, and I got to the point where I enjoyed the fish, but I was like, I got too much going on, man. Like, you can't focus on, like, Ryan. I have a little heart-to-heart myself and go, hey, man, you can't – like, how can you focus on, the native stuff, the live bears? You want to do these Lake Tanganyikans. You want to do some more of these egg like I also work with the Synodontis petricola from Lake Tanganyika, which is catfish and scatterers. So it takes a little more hands-on approach. I don't have time to also try to breed angelfish. I was going to add some Congo tetras. I was going to breed. I decided to move on, and I got rid of the angelfish, got rid of the Congo tetras, got rid of the rainbow fish because I just don't have time to really focus on them right now.
Yeah, just understand. There's so many fish out there. You can't have them all. It's so hard. It's hard. It really is to try to keep them all in good condition. Now, catfish. Have you gotten into other than plecos? Any type of catfish ever gotten into?
Yeah, so I guess that's one thing that I am keeping right now. So like I bred for the first time like 2 months ago, panda cories. They bred for me a year ago, kind of here and there, but I actually a couple months ago for the first time like set it up, hold the eggs, like went through the actual process. And I actually have some stir-by cories right now that are a couple days old. I had pulled them like maybe a week or two ago, pulled them to a separate tank, started really conditioning them, and I got my first stir-by eggs, and I got my first stir-by wigglers right now. Hopefully, I know I didn't do a great job. There's a lot of eggs fungus up, but I definitely got at least a couple dozen hatch out.
Doesn't Bao right now? He got some type of catfish too. That's from Lake Tanganyika. Some yellow and spotted catfish, something like that. I saw him post up recently.
Maybe he always is messing around with different Synodontis. He has like a lot of Synodontis and like lots of different types of the Petricola, the Angelicus. I think he has a bunch of different breeds, and he also will hybridize them too. So he's kind of created some of his own cool, different looking ones. And since he deals with so many, like I'm sure with you and your uncle's farm and being like that when you deal with like thousands of fish, you come across like, ooh, that one's kind of cool. Maybe you get 2 or 3 every 1,000. He will pick those out. And over the years, he's been able to kind of select for some more golden type looking Synodontis and some more white type looking Synodontis, just from one or two offshoots that look a little different from the thousands that he breeds.
Oh yeah. So, but you never gotten them from him? Never got into the
Synodontis? The Synodontis petricola that I'm breeding right now, I originally got from him as babies.
Now, earlier you was talking about when you had Corey from the co-op come down there and everything. You guys went collecting. How did that happen? How did that all come together?
Yeah, so Corey was down here in Orlando for like a convention where he was meeting some of his like plant vendors. Like Central Florida has a lot of vendors that sell to aquarium stores all over the country. So he was down here, and actually, heads up, there'll be some content hopefully coming out soon. His right-hand man, Randy, from the Aquarius Podcast and from Aquarium Co-op, he's coming down to Florida next week for that purpose. He's going to come down and meet with some of their vendors, whatever. But him and I are going to link up and go collecting next Wednesday, a week from today. So stay tuned for some videos and stuff from that. But he was down here a couple of years ago on a trip. Him and Randy were down a couple of years ago on a trip like that. He knew I was in Orlando because we had talked a couple times before. He reached out to me to see if I could take him collecting. We did that. And then about a month later, that was like a day, like an afternoon we spent together. And then a month later, he planned a separate trip and came out here. We spent like the weekend together driving around to different farms and stuff like that around Florida.
We got a question. Can you ask Ryan, do you find it there are too many Pleco babies in the tank that the male will kick out the eggs from the cave?
I don't know if it's because there's too many Pleco babies. The way I breed them is I breed my Plecos, I keep my pairs in like smaller tanks than you think. So my pairs are usually kept in 10 gallons or 20 gallons. These aren't like huge full-grown pairs, but they're a year or two old, and there's usually not many other fish, maybe a couple live bears. But I don't keep the babies in there with them. So I take the fry and put them in the larger tanks, like 40 breeders, 55 gallons. I do that because I know that the Pleco babies can release like hormones and stuff and pheromones. I don't know all the technical stuff. I just know they can stunt the growths. In terms of there being too many Pleco babies and the dad kicking them out, I haven't heard of that. I've had the dad kick them out a couple times. Maybe I don't know how big the cave is. Maybe look for a bigger cave or a different shaped cave. But I wish I had more insight there.
I've seen them when the dads reject the eggs and throw out the eggs. I know it's natural for the dads to kick out the babies out the cave when they're ready too, because yes. I pull my cave before he kicks them out. As soon as I seen that the egg yolk is done on them, I pull the cave and I dump all the babies in a separate tank and everything, and I let the parents start thickening them up, getting them ready for next time and everything.
Yeah, I do that as well. There's definitely different ways to do it, but I do that same way.
What's up, Biz? How you doing?
I also Hey, what's up, Biz? Also, Sandy, real quick. Yeah, just a follow up as well. This might help. If they do kick them out, if the eggs look kind of like translucent or white and they're kind of stringy and falling apart, that means they're already kind of bad. But if there's some still eggs that look viable, maybe that amber kind of color, you can take those and put them in a tumbler. So I actually had a batch for the first time in a long time. It was the first time male albino Pleco, first time dad, kicked the eggs out. And I was lucky there was a lot of eggs. So even though half of them kind of went bad when he kicked them out, I was still able to put that egg clutch in a tumbler, and they're doing fine now. So if they do kick them out, you can definitely, if they look viable, you caught them quick enough, put them in a tumbler. You can still hatch them out that way. Oh, yeah.
That works, too. I ended up getting a tumbler and still haven't used one. I just haven't my cage and everything. But I think that's what I'm going to do with some cichlids. I'm going to actually start practicing with a tumbler with some cichlid eggs.
I've heard that it's good for cichlids. I know that it's not good for all species like Corydoura, because I think they don't have that, when they hatch, they don't have that huge yolk. So the fish like the Pleco and the cichlids that have a huge yolk or a large size yolk compared relatively, I think they do well in a tumbler. But if you get like some of those really tiny fry, like the Synodontis petricola or like a rainbow fish fry, I don't think those would do well in a tumbler, especially the ones that like as soon as they hatch, they need that upper level. But I think plecos and stuff like that and cichlids, you should be fine in a tumbler.
Oh yeah, that should be
Oh,
fine.
good. So Sandy's already ahead of the game. But yeah, no. So she's just trying to figure it out for next time. Yeah, I wish I had the exact answer because it would be nice to actually have them do it for you and instead of pulling them.
Another good one. Have you tried methylene blue or peroxide to help avoid fungus? I'm a peroxide fan better than methylene blue, but I don't know. Do you ever use it?
Because I've only used methylene blue. I haven't used peroxide, and I've had some decent success with methylene blue. But I'm interested to hear you talk to me about peroxide though, because I've heard it but never tried it.
The reason I got more into peroxide was two reasons why I'm in favor. One, because I haven't used it yet, but peroxide is good if you lose power for several days. You throw a bottle of peroxide in your tank, it oxygenates your tank. It keeps your fish alive, and it's a natural way. So I think that's a pretty cool thing about peroxide. And second, it just keeps it aerated. The parents, that's all they're doing is it's moving water in front of those eggs and everything to keep them oxygenated. With peroxide, does the same thing, and you don't even need an air stone in there either with them. Just throw peroxide each day, and it's cheaper too. But you could just throw a little bit of peroxide.
I mean, you can get peroxide anywhere. I'm gonna have to give that a try because right now, I'm still a novice in a lot of things, especially when it comes to egg layers, egg scatterers, whatever. So working with these rice fish, these Corydoras, these Synodontis petricola, they're all kind of in that same category where I'm having to pull the eggs and try to either put them in a hang-on breeder box that has some airflow through it. But I found that even with the hang-on breeder box that has that airflow trickle, they still fungus sometimes. Even with Indian almond leaves, they fungus. So I've tried it with, methylene blue and have success. I'm definitely going to try the peroxide now, bro.
Yeah, it's a good method. It's an old method that people used to use, and they still use it. I like that. I like using older traditional ways of doing stuff because if it worked for them, why can't it still work for us?
Yeah, kind of like undergravel filters, sponge filters. Like these are all the old school stuff, like using salt to treat stuff, right? Yep. Those are like all the old school, just like tried and true, not fancy, but hey, it was good for them. It was good for us, right?
Oh yeah, and salt. I think salt's the best first thing to put in a tank whenever you see something wrong with it. Before you start dumping medicine and dumping all this chemicals in your tank, throw some salt in there and watch it. Figure out what's going on in your tank before you start putting any crazy chemicals in there.
Agreed. I'm not one to medicate that often. I'm lucky that when I bring fish in, like I pretty much keep all my tanks at species only. Besides, like I'll have like guppies, plecos, and shrimp, but like my cichlids, I have pretty much species only. Everything's set up like that. And when I bring in new fish, typically I only get fish from other hobbyists, and I still quarantine. I usually set them up in a whole new tank by themselves. Like their quarantine tank is going to be there forever home anyway. I'm now monitoring. For the last 2 years, I think the only medicine I've really used has been salt. There was 1 or 2 times I added it to a tank. Recently, one of my plecos had some red. One of my longfin plecos agitated his fin, and it had it was all reddish. So I added just not a ton of salt. I forget 1 table. I forget. I don't want to confuse the. I don't want to say misinformation. It was a lower level of salt that I utilized, and within a couple of days, it was nice and healed up, and he was fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, sometimes salt just cures. Sometimes they get banged up a little bit. Throw a little bit of salt in there, and they'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Feed them good, and they'll do perfect. Now, other than fish keeping, you got any other crazy hobbies? You into anything else?
I mean, the Colts are probably my football is probably my second favorite hobby.
I'm sorry about that.
You're a Bucks fan?
Oh yeah. Since they were orange, bro. That's where you see the orange. That's my favorite color. I was watching football, and they were the only team with the orange jersey.
The swashbuckler, the old swashbuckler logo. I like that, dude. They got to bring that back, man. That's a solid logo. I like that a lot.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
I got a super chat.
Oh hell yeah!
Thank you, Biz. Saltwater most case hydrogen peroxide, new ones for me. Great info. Thank you. Appreciate it. You learned something. I mean, I love sharing information because we learn more, these ways and everything. It doesn't hurt to share some information out there in the hobby and help more people have success in it.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's what's cool. Fish people tend to be pretty nice people for the most part, willing to share and help each other out. So.
Oh yeah. Now you're saying the coach. Anything else you do? Just football?
Mostly fish tank. I got my dog, so my life is mostly fish, football, my dogs. It's kind of connected now, but I like to get out and kayak. So I'll get out and go kayak and get on the water and not do any fish stuff, just enjoy for that as well. Those are pretty much my big hobbies, I guess. I'm kind of a nerd. I used to be a gamer. I used to do a lot of gaming back in the day, but I don't even own a console or do any really computer gaming right now. But I'm definitely What about you other than the Bucks and fish? What about you?
I used to game. I stopped gaming since PS3, I think it was. Yeah, PS3. Okay. I'm mainly family and fish, bro. I'm real deep into the family and the fish. And, if I'm not doing nothing with the family, it's either doing something out here in the fish room or something with fish. And, just always hanging out with the fam. That's my big thing, man. I have so much fun hanging out with them. It's like, I don't have no other time to do anything else. You got to enjoy them while they're young.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. OB Peacocks, hers used to really.
Some OB Peacocks, they are stunning. Oh, you would be talking about the Regal Blues. I got some Regal Blue Peacocks. I'm getting into the African thing too myself a little bit, but I'm kind of getting into peacocks and haps. I kind of like the way they look.
There's some pretty fish, man. There's some. You want to talk about color? One of my first tanks when I first got back into the hobby was in Buna. I had my 55-gallon. It was like yellow labs, red zebras, and the cobalt blue. And to be honest, man, I enjoyed that tank more than I enjoyed the rainbow fish tank in my living room. I was being straight honest. Like I had in the last couple of years, I had the Mbuna tank set up in my living room. I had the rainbow fish, and I had a native tank. I want to try the different native tank, but out of all those tanks, there's a reason why I'm going with Frontosa. I like that African cichlid tank as far as the display tank in the room for sure.
Oh yeah, I like the Frontosas too. I like the what is it they call the Black Widow or the Widow Frontosas. I like those. Yep.
I got a lot. As a buddy of mine local, I'm trying to get him to. He's actually cool. He's my mechanic now too, man. That's what I love about this hobby, dude. So about a year ago, I met him. He bought some Bristol's Plecos off of me, and it turns out he owns like a local. He's a mechanic, and he owns a local shop like not that far from me. And started, I met his brother, I met his wife. They all keep fish, and he's got a tank. He's got a tank in the shop, whatever. So he actually keeps Frontosa. He has a couple of the Black Widow. He has a couple of the red ones, and a couple of the regular. I think just the regular Burundi or whatever. But I keep telling them they're getting like 4 or 5 inches. I'm like, dude, you gotta breed those Black Widows. You gotta breed those and get those guys going. But I really want those MOBAs, those blues out here. That's what I really want.
Oh yeah, man. I like the red ones too. The red ones look pretty cool and everything. When you talk about Frontosas, to me, like, if I had a chance to get anyone, I would grab my hands on anyone right now. You know what I mean? Because I love the way they look. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I like how they're so big, and not that they're a community fish by any means, but they're not as fast moving and aggressive as some of the other African cichlids. They're kind of cruise and just kind of like glide around.
Oh yeah. Now, what's your thought on hybrids?
I don't know.
Oh, he got jumped.
I don't have too much. Yeah, funk. I don't have too much of an opinion on it. I tend to. Pretty much all the guppies that I deal with are quote unquote hybrids, like the guppy strains. They mix them. They're kind of hybrids, so to speak. Just like all the peacocks, right? All the different color, like the OB peacocks, right? They're all pretty much hybrid at this point. I know in the African cichlid community, it's kind of it's a hot topic. I like to personally. I don't hybridize. I like to keep my guppy strains pure. I have my mud guppy tank, but I like to just kind of take strains and just kind of keep them going. At least right now, that's where I'm at.
Oh yeah, I'm more the same way. I like to keep all my species only tanks and everything, but I too enjoy some of the hybrids out there because I think there's some pretty cool stuff that some people have made. You know, like the right now the big thing is those polar blues. Have you seen the polar blues?
Yeah, I first saw those. I mean, shout out to Rob93 because he was on those like before anybody, as far as I knew. Like two years ago, he was talking about those suckers. And when everybody else was just like, "What the heck's a polar blue? Might as well be another convict." At least that's where I first heard about them. But yeah, now recently, I've heard more and more. Like people like, "Where can I get those polar blues? Get those polar blues." I heard that more and more in the last like 6 months to a year or so.
Oh yeah, they have taken off, and you know now they got them in different colors. I've seen them in red, and I've seen them on all white now.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. I know that guy Charles Clapsaddle over at Goliath Farms, he had a bunch of different like strains, just like line bred, different colors that he was working on. I think he lost a lot of money that whole the Texas cold snap back in February or whatever. But I know that I never realized that within the convicts you can get a pretty. I mean, they're not guppies, but you can line breed them to be a lot of different colors.
Oh yeah. It's funny because convicts are like the guppies of cichlids. Literally, you can almost breed them or hybridize them with anything. I have seen people now putting them with the green Texas.
Okay, I didn't know about that. Yep. Yeah, I mean. Yep. I guess pretty much anything is possible.
Oh yeah, if you put the right conditions in the right tank and then the right genos, yeah, you can make almost anything possible. Flower horns. What you think about flower horns?
I think they're beautiful, man. Like in terms of, I think they're cool. I don't see myself owning one anytime soon, but I think it's a kind of my experience with the red devil. I know they're not the same fish, and I think maybe the red devil was used to make some of the flower horns or whatever the Midas. I'm not really well versed in those cichlids, but I could see how like flower horn is like a wet pet. You name it, it's like a mascot, it's like a puppy. For sure, I could see that. Oh yeah. I don't think I'll be anytime soon. But I think they're pretty cool. And I can see how people get into like the different like. I could probably look at 10 different flower horn and go, "Oh, they're all cool." But some people that are really into them, all the different, all the different little like betas, like betas, like, "Oh, that's a samurai." This. No, I don't know all the different swords or the tail types and color formations, whatever. I barely know that for guppies, let alone betas and flower horns. But I think it's cool that there is so much freaking rabbit holes you go down with all these different.
Oh yeah. Well, man, we getting towards the end already. Oh my God, seems like we just started talking right now. Well, I like to ask sometimes my guests, especially people with good experience, what's one good piece of advice you could give everybody right now, starting the hobby or been in the hobby, that you have learned that you think is a strong thing that they should know?
That's a good one. I would say patience in terms of let the hobby teach you patience. In terms of you can get frustrated. I think that's why so many people kind of get in this hobby and get out. I mentioned earlier at the game when I had the bala shark and that stuff. A lot of people are just kind of ignorant. I don't mean that in a bad way. They just don't freaking know. They just don't know. And until they learn. And I think that's the cool thing about the different communities. Like if you're listening to this, you're already ahead of the game because you found different communities. You found Carlos' channel in order to kind of, get insight and get help. But I think just being patient and realizing that, keeping fish, it's not super complicated, but there is some things to learn, and let it come to you. Do it the right way. Take your time and enjoy the fish keeping journey, because there's going to be bumps along the road. You talk to any of these guys that have been in the hobby for 30 years, master breeders, there's still, ups and downs. So I would say, be patient and enjoy the hobby and really look at what you can learn about life from the hobby itself.
True. That's a good one. That's a real good one. I like that. Because, yes, we do need to have a lot of patience in this. And even like we said, some people think breeding guppies is easy. Some people don't have success breeding guppies. It takes some patience. Sometimes what might be easy for one person is not easy for you. You just got to figure it out and learn it. That's a good one. I like that. Now, where can we find you at on social media? Throw all your plugs in.
It's Wild Fish Tanks, pretty much everything, everywhere. So mainly it's YouTube. I pretty much upload on Instagram every day, and then I'm on Facebook too. So Wild Fish Tanks on Facebook, Instagram, and wildfishtanks.com.
All right, bro. Well, again, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And like always, don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Y'all have a blessed night.